It's Wednesday night and MPs have just finished the last debate in the House of Commons. After a short week in Westminster, Labour's shown that this government's on the ropes. Just this evening we've seen the DUP stray away from their Tory masters after they backed a Labour motion in the House of Commons to lift the pay cap on NHS staff. Although the vote won't generate legislation, it's yet another indication of this government's chronic weakness. On Monday, MPs were called up for another graveyard shift in the chamber. It was after midnight when we voted on the second reading of the EU withdrawal bill that'll transfer EU legislation into UK law. Jeremy Corbyn described the Tories' legislation as a power grab. That's because the bill will hand over unprecedented powers to the government's ministers and allow them to bypass Parliament. Let me be clear, Labour opposes the bill in its current form, but we accept the result of the referendum. We want to leave the European Union whilst ensuring that our democracy and our rights remain intact. In the end, the bill passed its second reading, with MPs voting for it by a margin of just 36 votes. On Tuesday, we saw another sign of the authoritarian streak of this government. Because their position's so precarious, the Tories have sought to gerrymander control over crucial Commons committees. The move's important because by controlling these committees, this minority Tory government will be able to push through legislation without proper parliamentary scrutiny. Propped up by the DUP, the motion passed by a slim margin of just 19 votes. Tensions have also emerged between the government and trade unions this week in a debate over public sector pay, which has been frozen since the Tories came to power in 2010. On Tuesday, the government announced it will be offering a pathetic 1% increase to police and prison officers for this year only. Now, there's two things to say about the government's small bonus to these workers. First, the Tories are simply moving around figures in the accountancy book. Despite the billions poured into the banks, the $1 billion given to the DUP and the gaping wealth divide in this country, the government can't seem to find any new revenue to provide a decent pay rise for public sector workers. Not only that, but with their tiresome mantra that the country's broke, the Tories seem to accept that they've no clue how to create economic growth. The second thing to say is that on the same day that this pathetic increase was proposed, the ONS published the latest inflation figure, which is now running at 2.9%. And when housing costs are added, it's almost 4%. That means we're seeing yet another real terms pay cut for workers. Jeremy Corbyn gave another strong performance at Prime Minister's questions today, while Theresa May appeared as nothing more than a hollow shell. When Jeremy pointed out that disabled people are facing a human catastrophe because of Tory cuts, there was no answer. When he asked whether Theresa May was concerned about students leaving university with £57,000 in debt, what did we see from the PM? Nothing but laughter. I've got to say, I don't think I've ever seen a government as dead on its feet as this one is. And finally, I just want to give a shout out to Richard Branson, who on Monday reported the damage done by Hurricane Irma to his private island in the Caribbean. While jet skiing and windsurfing activities have been postponed for Mr. Branson, who hid in his wine cellar during the storm, islanders elsewhere lost their livelihoods and many lost their lives. Branson quite rightly called for more to be done about relief in the wake of the storm. But let's remember, it was Mr. Branson who moved his permanent residence to this island to avoid paying tax. So it seems non-Don Branson's asking for the state's help. Well, I tell you what then, Richard, why don't I see if the staff in John McDonnell's office can look at setting up a repayment scheme for your lifetime of tax avoidance? That seems fair, doesn't it? So that's it for a few weeks. I'll see you again in October after we get back from the conference season. In the meantime, please don't forget to share this video, like the page, and remember, if I can be of any help, please feel free to get in touch.